Hello, my name is Ken Cronin, and I would like to walk you through my professional development workshops incorporating technology into the classroom in order to enhance a flipped classroom dynamic. So if we take a look at my agenda for our two-day workshop, I want you to keep in mind that this is for an audience of teachers who have a varied range of low-tech to high technology incorporation in their classrooms, particularly that of their flipped classroom structure. When I found what I found in the needs assessment is that many teachers who have a flipped classroom or parts of a flipped classroom are finding that it's hard for students to get the material done at home in order to progress the learning environment when they're in person. So what I came up with is a two-day workshop in order for teachers to create more culturally relevant video instruction in their classroom. So day one is going to focus on those two things. I have it broken down by hours here. And in the first hour would be defining and exploring culturally relevant pedagogy through video instruction. This would include things that students, particularly that in a middle school age, would like, which include new trends such as TikTok for instruction, Snapchat, YouTube videos, as a way to create video instruction that isn't bland and is easy for the students to digest and engage in. That is going to revolve around creating focused videos that should be under 3 minutes. That doesn't mean that the student just is going to watch one 3-minute video. It might be a collection of videos that are less than 3 minutes. So in this hour, we would talk about the neurology behind focusing on one bit of information that the students are technically learning on their own. The next hour would be how would we actually review and record and edit our instructional videos. Our district bought something called Filmora, which is actually what I'm using right now. And it has many editing features and different things to make the video creation a little bit more fun. Filters, backgrounds, things of that nature. From 10 to 11, we would have the teachers go out either with themselves or with a partner and pick one objective from their class that the students could learn on their own with the videos they create. And after that hour, we would come back and I would have the teachers present it to Flipgrid. If you're unfamiliar with Flipgrid, it looks like this when you create videos in a space. And I would like all the teachers who create their videos to post it because, as you can see, we can share what we create and it allows us to comment and like the videos, and it might give us ideas from our colleagues and coworkers on what they did. What did they try to do to make their video instruction engaging? And this platform allows you to comment and give feedback, which I think would be really important in a workshop like this. So using Flipgrid as a tool for an hour, we would give all the teachers involved a chance to go through the videos, leave comments, get some other feedback about the video they created. Of course, we have an hour for lunch because we don't want to forget that. And then the last part of day one would include going over a presentation and literature about how to maximize in-person learning when you're using a flipped classroom structure. So in these 2 hours, the teachers would get some information about different styles and different ways people present a flipped classroom and have an online digital environment and a physical environment. Since my goal is to get more project-based learning into the in-person learning, that's what we would revolve around. And this is what the teachers would walk away with in regards to the objective. They would need to create a goal in order to maximize more in-person learning for PBLs or project-based learning. Based on the needs assessments, most teachers want to get their partially flipped classroom to a fully flipped classroom. So their goal would have to address this. Taking a look at day 2 of our 2-day workshop is where a lot of the brain work and collaborative practices need to come into place. And that's why I designated a whole day towards this. So the teachers involved in this would create a collaborative online space for interdisciplinary projects, meaning how can we make the project-based learning that we're doing in class become more cross-curricular? And this is one of my district's goals. And in my other modules, I'd mentioned we've done this before in the past and it hasn't been the most successful. And we've learned that a lot of it has to do with our planning time, because if we're working with so many different departments in their subject areas that they teach, we don't have a lot of time to collaborate. So the first hour of this would stress the importance of project-based learning, give possible ideas that could turn into cross-curricular projects. The next hour would be examining our curricular standards in other disciplines. I think another reason why a lot of teachers have time successfully doing this is because they aren't aware of what the other standards look like in other classes. They may be pros or professionals in their content area, but they might not know what is being taught at that grade level in other classes. So this is what would be designated in an hour here. This would be presented through our PB Works wiki, in which all of the curricular standards are there. From 10 to 12, we would be using our PB Works wiki space to collaborate with other teachers. So I can quickly show you what a PB Works looks like in regards to their wiki hub. As you can see here, this is technically my wiki space. And the thing that's nice about this is, in comparison to other shared documents, whether they're through Google or Microsoft, there's a sidebar here showing who viewed something, who edited something, which is important because sometimes things get undone on those collaborative spaces. So this is just an example of how I use it in the classroom with different chapters. But essentially what I would want on the PB Works is a grid of brainstorming ideas on how we could cross over one standard that might be in math and how it can apply to science or English or one of those other subjects that's sometimes hard to incorporate cross-curricular projects. So if we look back to this agenda, this 2 hours would represent time to brainstorm with other colleagues in different subject areas and start to put a project in motion so that a possible project-based learning experience in one classroom can be built upon in another class or be done in tandem with one another. The last half of this day would be creating the actual curricular units. So 2 hours would be designated for this time. And the goal would be to at least have a crossover in a different subject area. So last but not least, the formative assessments for these would include a checklist and self-reflection. So in the beginning of our 2-day workshop, were you able to create a focused, culturally relevant video for flipped instruction? The next is, will your change to your current flipped classroom allow for more collaborative experiences for your students? The next would be, will at least one project learning-based experience be feasible in your classroom this quarter? Could you set this project in motion after this 2-day workshop? The last is, does your project-based learning experience have the potential to build upon or be built upon in another subject? And does it have potential for a third or even fourth, maybe even fifth subject area to create an interdisciplinary unit? Lastly, the summative assessment would be something that we would see in the future because this is something that's going to be built upon once the teams could collaborate in between their interdisciplinary subjects. So the focus area would talk about how much time was needed in order for you to create instructional videos to enhance that flipped classroom. Was it enough time to cover an objective for at-home learning, or do you need to supplement it with something else? Is text important? Are interactive worksheets important for a flipped classroom? The second portion would be, since incorporating culturally relevant instructional videos into your class, did that participation piece improve with what we're doing here? So this would be something that was done a little bit further down the road, whereas the formative assessment would take place after the workshop concluded.